Zero. Good evening, Africa. We are here yet again. This is African football. We love this show. I can tell you, when it comes to football matters on the continent, I don't think you can go anywhere except to be here on this platform every Thursday with the well-decorated panelists that are here to unpack all the stories. A lot of stories, of course, to discuss, to talk about. It's no different every week. If you look at what is ahead on the menu, I don't want that story that is beginning the first one. I think we might need to just bypass it. Zimbabwe to play home games away from home. I wish I could just bypass that first story that we're going to talk about. CAF Champions League preview. We all know the quarterfinals are happening this weekend. So yes, you might be vying for your favorite team. I can tell you some mouth-watering encounters they lined up. It should be one of the I think hardest, toughest quarterfinalists that I've ever seen in a long time. Zamalek not showing up for a fixture against Ahly. Imagine a derby, one of the team decides not to show up. There's a derby, of course, in South Africa happening, the Soweto Derby. And again, there is a story around the goalkeeping department. Is great that we've got a goalkeeper here in studio with us who's going to help us maybe to try to give some advice to the technical team of Kaizer Chiefs as to who is that number one goalkeeper that they can do with when they come against the on-firing Orlando Pirates. Let me take this opportunity to introduce my guests that are here. I can never do this alone. They are always with me, ready to rock and rumble, ready to share, to unpack all these stories. Greg Itafia is here on my left. Jeff Katala joins us as well. And to finish the list but not least, it is Timothy Batabaire. Gentlemen, good evening. Welcome to This Is African Football. But we start on a somber note. Very, very sad news. Jeff Katala, we heard about the passing of Amri Fami, the former CAF Secretary General. You know what, when I heard this story, you look at how he was involved in this game, you look at the age, again, in the manner in which he just departed, really makes for a very, very sad story that has come out of African football.
Yeah, it is very unfortunate that African football has lost a dignified son who was really giving all he has to help football in Africa. But we knew that he was very ill. Even before you can write that famous letter, he was not working. He was 3 months he wasn't working. Because he went for chemotherapy. Yes. And but his health was not really good, and it is someone who come from a football empire, because his grandfather Murad Fami, who was the Secretary General, and he is the father of Mustafa Fami, who's now with FIFA. So and him too. So all of them were actually CAF Secretary General. And he was not even old, so this is very sad. And he wanted to be the next president of CAF because he wanted to participate in election next year, but unfortunately.
Oh, Tim, how would we remember Amri Fami? Again, like what Jeff has just alluded to, the fact that comes from that generation of former Secretary Generals within the same family, creating this position as some form of a dynasty. But at a tender age of 36, he leaves, he departs. You look at the corruption allegations, accusations that he leveled against the CAF president. It seems as if he was someone really who would not keep quiet, really wanted to raise some issues, whether now, since he's no more, how this would pan out. Now it's interesting to see whether FIFA, because there was a letter written to FIFA about him, trying to set the ball rolling in terms of what was happening at CAF. I think it also, some are saying it might have even led to FIFA themselves now bringing in the likes of Fatma Samura, because these were serious allegations, unproven of course, but for him to have been brave enough to be able to pen that letter, raise the concerns, whether true or not, also speaks of the kind of person that he is now, again, wanting to have, run for presidents, the next election for CAF, kind of a young man who was full of ambition.
May his soul rest in peace. At 36, that's very young, being in a position of authority to serve football on the African continent. And if you have read the independent audit report from PricewaterhouseCoopers, I think they validated his cause and concern when he did report that there is financial mismanagement taking place in CAF. In that report, at least, it is proved that yes, he's on point.
Yes.
He also went ahead to pen a letter to the ethics committee of FIFA, detailing the sexual harassment of the CAF president, the bribes that were taking place. That was about $20,000 that was deposited in each president's FA account. So you could see that all his issues were legit at this moment in time as we speak. And to reveal to BBC that he intends to stand to be the CAF president, and his manifesto was pro-Africa, pro-football, and very anti-corruption. I think we have lost a son of the soil that would love to have seen better management of the game of football on the African continent. But again, we hope and pray that the FIFA Ethics Committee can be bold enough to try and clean up the issues that were raised by him, to try and clean up the image of football. But also, our condolences go out to his family, because it's important to note that the officers of CAF, that land was granted by the grandfather, that's Motard. So they have held African football as their own. So as a family, it's a deep loss. And for us who love football, we hope that the Almighty God receives his soul, at peace.
Shocking news, Greg Itafia. The death, the passing away of Amri Fami. Your tribute to him?
For me, I just feel he's one of the great servants of football in Africa, serving under CAF in terms of the AFCON. And he has done a lot of things, we can remember him with, what Tim just said now, with a lot of things that he brought out against CAF, with in terms of Ahmed Ahmed, lead to the arrest of Ahmed Ahmed in France and all those things. Condolences to his family, the wife and the daughter. I just feel like, we should celebrate him, we should celebrate him, because that's the only thing, what he has done, so that's how we're going to remember him.
He brought the whistle, to say that the finances of CAF are managed by Moroccans. Yes, out of 8 positions, they occupy 6.
You see, and the other sad part, the other part again with that, he took over from Moroccan, and the Moroccan took over from him again. But so Moroccan, is back again. So
maybe if you look at this, the issue of the positions, maybe you guys can help me, because CAF is in North Africa, and we are talking about such important position as the Secretary General, where it had been occupied by this lineage of the families. Now we saw the Moroccans coming in. Where is sub-Saharan African, Jeff? Is it because it is in North Africa? Is it because I'm talking about employment acts that maybe CAF cannot go outside? And what governs that?
There've been a lot of calls to get CAF out of Cairo because they didn't have the seat agreement. They only signed it just a few weeks ago. 2 weeks ago. That was the very first time that, because they were now adamant to pull out of Cairo, because they knew that when CAF was formed in 1976 in Lisbon, Portugal, Lisbon or something like that, and it was said that position will remain for Egyptian. And the one who was there, because the first president of CAF was an Egyptian, and then the Secretary General was also an Egyptian. That was Murad.
That was like an Egyptian football.
Absolutely. So and it's been going like that. But when Hicham El Imrani took over, they were not very happy that the position should come back to the Egyptians, and then that's why they didn't want to sign the seat agreement. When Hicham Rami was there, and they start negotiating that when Mefami was appointed. And when he was taken out,
yes, he was fired.
yes, they put it back into the
yeah.
So it was only when people start talking about it, and Infantino was talking about it, and then that they said, "Oh, now we can negotiate."
Yeah, because naturally, you would expect that an organization like CAF, which is governing football on the continent, it must be well represented. If you look at the staff that work at CAF, but if it is only one country. Or one region, then sometimes there are questions that arise. So hopefully we could see.
And this is one of the reasons I've been raising those issues many times before. That's why when you see any Maghreb club, when they behave badly on the pitch of play, they don't get the same sanction as if the other teams from other regions of Africa will have.
No, for sure. And if you look at the dominance of the continental club competitions, and you look at who is at CAF, sometimes you tend to think that there's always that favoritism when it comes to that. So I think the sooner we do away with only one country running CAF, the better. It needs to be well represented. We need to see, that staff that are working at CAF spread all over. So many countries being represented at CAF. It is hashtag France Sports. Your thoughts? We want to hear from them. Get engaged with us as we continue with our show. Yes, gentlemen. We are talking about what I said, that I wish I could just have a big hole where I just go under, you won't see me again. It is Zimbabwe actually being barred from hosting international matches. Timothy Batabere, because my home country do not have the right stadia that meets the minimum standards required by CAF. Your thoughts?
At this moment in time where I'm seated, I think it's the right call. Because once the announcement was made, immediately the authorities that be are already declaring that the stadium will be ready.
Oh, okay.
So as Africans, it's a wake-up call. We always
Fire brigade.
That's the African way.
Fire
do
brigade.
the right thing.
So that's the African way.
Which is very unfortunate for the loving Zimbabwean football fans. It's very sad because when I'm looking around, I'm asking myself, which country can host Zimbabwe as a nation to play their games? There's only one country, and that is South Africa. Now, if you look at the logistics that are going to be involved to pull off such a game, it means that if they had done the right thing from the word go, it will all be celebratory. For this moment in time, it's a very sad day for Zimbabwean football.
Yeah, but when they say that the stadium will be ready, but the qualifiers for AFCON is on the 8th of March. So when the stadium will
there's fire brigade. The African way. They use the fire brigade. They bring this and patch this and make sure everything.
But I'm not. I'm against the statement by Timothy. Because if you see that it's not the government responsibility to do that. The government has already built the stadium. To maintain the stadium, that's the prerogative of the FA, and if FA cannot do it, CAF will do it. When Issa Hayat was there were a project which was called the Meridian Project. It was to come, it was intervening in crises like this. They will
but Jeff, it's very interesting in many African countries. I don't know about Zimbabwe, but what I do know is that
we don't have the same threat.
Even when the government has constructed the infrastructure, they still remain in jurisdiction of running the infrastructure. You find that even has to pay a lot of taxes.
Let's talk about
this one of the reasons. Is told the Meridian Project is for mining things to be done, not really to rely on government most of the time.
I think let's talk about that, Greg Itafia. This issue of government reliance. I think this is not only a case that is confined to only Zimbabwe.
No.
There are so many nations when you see them play. Ghana as well at some stage.
Nigeria.
There were complaints about players complaining. When you see that grass, you can't see their shins, you can't see their knees. Sometimes
it's like the stadium in Nigeria.
In Nigeria,
typical. You see that game where they played against was it Lesotho? There was a friendly game which they played just before the Nations Cup. I mean, Greg Itafia. So who's to blame?
For me, okay.
when this happens? Is it the government? But again,
You see
how much of reliance
Yeah.
from FAs do they have to on government? When you look at CAF, you look at Infantino right now, even coming to tell us that I think I need to put money aside to make sure that there is a proper stadium. But it might not be about building stadium. The maintenance part as well.
That's where I'm going to. You know,
So, yes.
with Infantino saying that we spoke about this last 2 months, or I can't remember. You know, it's a good gesture. You know, in terms of African football and African stadiums. You know, everything you want to do in Africa, but to maintain it, that's the difficult part. You see, you in these stadiums,
Who's supposed to maintain?
the FA, because
So
the FA,
the FA
they
cannot send a couple of groundsmen to make sure
and
that
it's easy.
we pay them
And
a
it
salary.
It's easy.
On
You can check the
monthly
club
basis.
side.
Imagine.
You can check the club side. You go to
can do
another
that.
club side. You have maybe four people there. Employ them. You get spring waters that just you don't need to
Absolutely.
work because everything
And
nice.
water is a natural resource.
Natural resource.
You can get
So-
it underground.
But the other thing again, Elasto, is this other concept, you know, happening on the ground too. That's another factor too, in terms of, you know, the crusade, in terms of maybe Davido is going to
the stadiums are being used for other
other
to-
things.
to-
And sometimes
Yeah.
when I condemn CAF, they have to understand that we in Africa, we don't have to copy Europe most of the time. They copy past the strategy does not really work. We in Africa, they want they want the place the press. What do they call it? The press place in the stadium. To have connectivity. When is internet working
In
so
Africa?
smoothly in Africa?
There's no
apart from
data
South
free there.
Africa?
There's no data free. No,
So we cannot do that. So they want all those things to be fitted in.
yeah.
No, it's too much. The demands.
You know, at the end of the day, you look at the highest benchmark,
Yeah.
and then we see what we can do.
Yeah.
For me, when it comes to the African continent, the failure is to prioritize right. We don't have the will to do the right thing, and that's why we are lacking. You are having a stadium that is hosting political rallies. You're having a stadium where police officers are training in. You have got so many things going wrong. We don't prioritize sports. Now, the only time they prioritize sport now is when we have so many foreign players coming back home. That's when it's a full house. And now, if most governments could sit down and say, okay, what is exactly the foreign exchange that is brought in by sports? That's the biggest time, you know, we can have a change. For example, in Uganda, you have got a gold medalist in the Olympics. Once he wins the Olympic medal, no one even understands how we prepare to win it. But that's when he visits State House. And that's when the government is proclaiming sponsorship and everything like that. But they are forgetting the fact that, yes, that one is one of the many. If the infrastructure was right, you could have so many of those kind of athletes coming through. And that is how you develop a nation. Countries that have succeeded in sports, they have got their infrastructure well. If you look at West Africa, there is something that has been realized by the West Africans, that within families they know that if I make it in sports, I can change my family. So what do athletes do? They try to leave the country and go anywhere in the rest of. And once they are spotted performing well, they are brought back home.
Except
but
Kenyans.
we need to do the
Yeah,
right
Kenya, they run everywhere.
They run the Kenya.
No,
Okay,
the
so
reason is simple. The reason is simple because they have a good attitude.
My own Elasto.
Right.
Sorry, Elasto. Let me just go. But I just feel sorry for the Zimbabwean players, you know, and the team generally, because I mean, I think for me they have a great team.
No, they will play in Harare.
They have a good chance.
They will play
But
there.
I don't want the game to be taken out from Zimbabwe because it's going to be disadvantage for.
Like what Tim has said, maybe a plan is underway. We hope that the next match for the Zimbabwe Warriors against defending champions Algeria.
And imagine,
sorry, Elasto, and some other thing that I did. I remember the FA president of DRC. He asked me to see why most of the games are played in Durban. I went to Durban and I went to see the municipality people. Well, they told me, we took charge of the stadium because when the concerts are playing, played there, there are events that are taking place there. people do pay, and we are able to maintain the
from
stadium.
that. So they can use that man to
Absolutely.
that is big deal to make sure that they maintain the stadium, because it's not easy
It's
to
not easy.
Moses Mabhida Stadium to maintain that kind of a stadium.
But it's not perfect.
not easy.
It's still not perfect. But
Yeah,
at
but
least
at
it's
least
playable.
they do something.
Okay, gentlemen, hopefully, yes, we won't have to play here in South Africa. Yes, many of our players are based here. But, you know, you can't take away this home advantage, this sovereignty of the country, the pride of our people to be able to go and watch at the doorstep their favorite
I watched
players.
the game between Pirates and Highlanders.
Yes,
Wow.
Wow. I think it was FC Platinum.
Yeah.
Babafield Stadium.
Yes.
But where these supporters, some of them were even cheering for Orlando. What is happening?
But Elasto, you know, if you look at Zimbabwe as a country, if you look at the economy of the country right now, what brings the country together? It is sports. And to be robbed of
that's
such
the only thing that we have now that can bring some smiles.
To be robbed of such an
Zimbabwean
opportunity.
people.
Why I began by saying it's right that that decision was made.
So
because
that
it's
things
a
can be
wake-up
fixed.
call
This is
for
a wake-up
the
call,
leaders to stand up and take notice, because they were not seeing amidst the levels of high corruption and doing wrong things. They need some decision to put things right.
It is hashtag FRUNb Sports. Wherever you are, engage with us. We want to hear their questions. If you've got questions that you need to pose to the gentlemen here in studio, kindly do so. We'll be very happy to tackle such questions, looking at all these topics that we've been discussing thus far. Guys, gentlemen, we turn our focus now to Egypt. We see a team here by the name of Zamalek. This club decides, not to turn out. This is not just a league match. This is a derby. We've got a derby here in South Africa. Imagine Orlando Pirates or Kaizer Chiefs decides that no. We are just not going to turn out. Jeff, what is happening here with this club that has just won the Super Cup and they fail to honor such an important fixture on the calendar of the Egyptian Premier League?
Because it is a deja vu. And the Egyptian FA doesn't do anything about it. They allow them. But remember that they've been a rival ever since, because Zamalek is considered as a bourgeoisie team of Egyptian people, and Ahly is a popular team. Everybody can identify himself to Ahly, but not Zamalek. Zamalek is for
exclusive.
people, very exclusive. And the president is full of himself.
Matada.
He's full of himself. He said, no, because I've played, we won the Super Cup. I have to rest. I have to rest my player. Why? Because he knows that derby will help Egyptian, because lot of sponsors use those games, the derby, for publicity of the merchandising. So that's why even in other Arab countries they come to watch that game.
What excuse? What is Zamalek saying? I'm sure
they say that they're tired, but they should be suspended.
The current news again. They say there was traffic. There was traffic, and they wanted to send the youth team to even play the game, but that's not excuse. But they've been fine now. They've been fine.
Okay, I want to talk about the sanction now, Timothy.
Because
if you look at the sanction, we know these guys failed to turn up, and so they can say whatever excuse. But team,
there's no excuse.
But looking, what kind of a sanction needs to be meted to this club that has got this chairman or owner, I don't know what they call him, the president Motada Monsoon, who seems to do as he wishes.
Look, Zamalek appointed Monsoon Motada in 2014. He's a president, very colorful. He's known to speak his mind.
Speaking his mind, but he speak his mind within the confines of the rules.
But the wrong side.
He can speak his mind.
What is interesting is, actually, he may not be offside, because being a lawyer, he knows exactly the laws. As we speak now, all sanctions that the Egyptian Football Association is meting out to Zamalek don't apply to the regulations of the federation. So Zamalek, as a club, under their chairman, they can still claim that it does not affect them. Now, how does this boycott come about? Remember, they played the Super Cup, and if you watch the game very well, they had scenes. And then the FA came up and banned some of the
players
and
the
fined them.
fighting.
So the board of Zamalek, which is led by the chairman, made an announcement that actually they will not continue with the rest of the league if the 5-year committee is still running.
Not the first time, eh?
You understand? Not the first time. It happened also in 2015. They threatened like that. Also, they threatened not to play the Super Cup finals in Abu Dhabi, but they still went.
Yeah.
So when he made that announcement that they will not continue, in the league, eventually I think they were, contemplating if they could field the youth team.
Yeah.
Now it so happened that it coincided with bad weather and the traffic.
No.
So they are using that as an excuse.
What about escort?
Not
Traffic escort. You
They
can't
can
have
never.
escort.
They can
It's a derby.
A derby.
And that's
they
it's a
will
derby. They escort
never
you.
put a reserve team.
Yeah.
They will never. It's about to. Remember the executive, because they are have they gone to elections? Because the chairman of the standing committee is the Zamalek boy guy, the president.
Mansour.
Yes, he's still also the president of the standing committee.
Standing committee.
Yeah, standing committee. So he is untouchable. But I know that he could have said that we don't want to play a derby like this one when
After
we
2
have
days.
another very component CAF fixture
against
coming
Esperance.
over the weekend.
Interestingly,
He could have said that if
Said that
so
maybe
they can
ask
leave
for postponement.
Yes,
Simple as that. So you have to
postponement.
find other ways.
Yeah, absolutely.
Try to make sure you frustrate
But
this
interestingly, this
But
game
the same-
was postponed in October. Because this was a fixture that was postponed, so that Egypt can be able to host the under-23 AFCON.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, this is a game that has not been played.
But remember
However,
they played in the Super Cup.
exactly.
Yeah.
And so what is interesting is that the federation has gone ahead to award 3 points and 2 goals to Ahly, making them making the team that has won all
but
16
enough.
games of
But
their first
it's
league.
enough.
That's
To just lose
but
points.
and they said they're going to deduct 3 points again from the league. But you see,
but
the league is already out of Zamalek.
For Zamalek.
Yeah, it's
But-
already out.
but-
I just feel like they're using that for excuse because I think they're going to concentrate more on the Champions League because they have
because they know that there's nothing
no, there's
back
not in
for
the league
But
because
don't get deducted as many
Ethiopia,
points.
even then, all these talk of sanctions,
yeah.
as long as they are not provided for in the rule book of the Egyptian FA, it's just simple talk because they can't challenge it.
No, but is there any excuse
For
any
that reason,
team,
for not to come
for any team not to honor a fixture? Because when this match is, because they turned for the game, they came later.
Yeah.
You see, they
They're
came to the
completely-
game. So that on its own, I think for me, the Premier League in Egypt, I think needs to send a strong message. Because we've seen, if you look at in Italy what happened, the likes of Juventus, where points they end up even playing
Yeah.
in the second
Serie B,
division.
yeah.
So for me, I would have wanted to see this Zamalek really being punished. I'm not saying they must be demoted, but I'm just saying that yes, points won't make a difference for them. But if they deduct points in such a way that they won't be able to play
The
Champions League,
that's
the
where I'm
following
going
season,
to. Yeah.
then I would say that now they've got something that they can look back and say that, but what we did was wrong.
Because they have 31 points.
Yes.
You deduct 3 points, about 28
It won't
points.
make a difference.
It will make a little bit different because they're behind. They're behind. At least will go to 5th position, which you have
Because
pyramid
There should be three kind of sanctions. First one, you deduct 6 points.
Okay.
Yes.
You deduct the 6 point, and when they play, they're already minus
Empty.
3. Yeah, and then behind closed door for
Yes.
3 games.
And then you ban the individuals.
Yeah.
Yes.
You
Yeah.
ban
I think they need to be
individuals from
suspended.
football.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They might need to be suspended. Then we are talking.
Yeah.
But if you just say,
because it keep repeating itself again. I know with Zamalek.
But we've seen this kind of attitude as well of Zamalek.
Yeah.
Not only domestically. They've also been doing the same
Take it
when it
international.
comes to also continental football. They feel that they own anything.
Yeah.
But we hope that Zamalek should be dealt with the mightiest of the full wrath of the law to make sure that other teams, they set a very good precedence. Okay, talking about Zamalek playing in the Champions League, we know they are also they are really doing well. We saw them winning the CAF Super Cup, beating Esperance.
Yeah.
They have to meet them again. Now we are shifting our attention. Of course, we're talking about the CAF Champions League preview, first leg. Very important. First leg, second leg. Yes, some teams starting at home. But here's Zamalek, talking about them, Greg Itafia, coming up against Esperance again. Yes, defending champions Esperance, 2 times winners. Experiencing some injury concern. That is Esperance. And as you've said that, look at Zamalek now, where they might feel that the league is away from them, out of reach. But here is where now they are going to focus. But they're coming up against Esperance as well.
I mean, defending champion, you know, what kind of game you're going to expect? You're going to expect a cracker. But the first leg, you know, that's the most important one. I always say in Champions League, when it's two-legged game, the first leg is very important for any team. You remember when Sundowns play Ahly with the advantage they have. I just feel Zamalek need to make sure they do very well, because with the experienced team, okay, nevertheless they have injuries and they have 1 suspension, if I'm not mistaken, too. You know, so but I think this gonna be a tough game. You know, like Champions League, you know, you never predict this kind of games. Most especially when you play in that side of the continent. I think it's gonna be a tough game. But this one, I think Zamalek, they're really preparing for this game, because with everything going around them, I think their focus now is really on the Champions League.
No, they seem to have an upper hand, because after winning the Champions League, Esperance have lost to 2 or 3 players. Kennis is no more there. Guilherme is gone to Saudi Arabia. It is a team that is starting to find its footing now. And the moment is not just right. The timing is not just perfect for them to have a fully gelled team that can really... Because Zamalek hasn't sold any player since they won the Confederation Cup. So they're still there. So they do have Benchaki, so he was brilliant in the Super Cup. And they have... the captain Chakabala, who's still there, the veteran. So they do have an upper hand, the momentum to do well against Esperance, but never count Esperance out.
Team never count them out. It's a match that is going to take place tomorrow. Defending champions Esperance, of course, coming up, traveling away to Zamalek. Your prediction and your thoughts on how this game might pan out?
Yeah, I'll give it to Zamalek. I think if you look at the way they played against Al Hilal in the Super Cup, you know, you could see a team that has applied themselves. And, you know, with these bans rooming and their performance in the league, they know that there is an opportunity for them to miss the Champions League, which they don't want. That's a business end of their football calendar. So they will go all out to try and make sure. But, you know, when you are looking at this stage of the Champions League, you're looking at all potential, you know, champions.
All quarterfinalists, yes.
So they know how
they
to
are former
handle the
champions,
game,
all
so
these teams.
It's very
former champions.
It's very important to know that, you know, at the moment in time, how do you manage the game? But at this moment in time, I think, as you know, Jeff has said,
you would give it.
I'll give it to Zamalek.
Zamalek prediction.
Zamalek 2-1.
2-1. That's first leg. Jeff.
A draw.
A draw as well. Okay. Let's quickly move now to another fixture that also promises fireworks, and that is, we're talking about our Ahly coming up against Sundowns. Jeff, it's a Sundowns team, again a bit depleted in terms of some injury concerns, but this is Sundowns that we're talking about. Our Ahly on top form, doing very well domestically. They've never forgotten. They've never forgotten, Jeff.
Revenge is a dish that is served cold.
Yes.
So thumbs up for them to revenge their defeat. Even if I've never been Ahly losing, but a huge margin like that one. It was my first time actually, and I was astonished. And this time they won't let Sundowns walk over them. So they will put up a fight. For them, it will be a finale before the final. So it is gonna be a firecracker game. It will be a gladiators fight. So let's see what will happen. So, but I see Ahly after the home and away game, Ahly will qualify.
Team, you are saying after the 2 legs?
Yes.
Oh, you agree as well?
I agree.
Guys.
Yes, you know,
really?
Yes, it's not because I'm living in South Africa.
I thought because we gave you a house there
I'm having a look exactly on football matters.
Okay, tell me why you say
at this moment
that
in time,
Ahly has got an upper hand in terms over the 2 legs. Never mind the first leg, but you seem to think that this time around, our Ahly will come back strong. 8-time champions, of course, Sundowns. But if you look at Sundowns, gentlemen, looking at their away form, especially in North Africa, they've been decent. They've been decent.
Well.
So don't you think that they would be able to get a good result, maybe a draw, and come back and maybe finish it off at home?
Currently, if you look at the Sundowns team that we know at this moment in time, in comparison to Ahly, Ahly is still performing better than Sundowns. Yes, Sundowns will try to come up with a wonderful...
Yeah, Timothy calls it Al Hilal. It's Al
I pronounce it very well.
He's talking about Al of Egypt.
So now, for me, what's happening is, if you look at both teams, you know, after being beat, you know, an avalanche of goals, they went into a spending spree. Got all the players they could get their hands on to make sure that they make a solid team, and it's not surprising that they are leading in their league standings at this moment in time. 16 games, they have got all the, you know, they have won all their games, and that's the team that Sundowns is gonna meet. And that Sundowns at this moment in time, they are not performing so well in the league. You understand? So they are
not second?
But they are second.
They are second, but no, they are not performing so well in the league. Remember, Sundowns are always on top of the league,
you see,
when they are playing in the Champions League. So at this moment in time, they are not sure where they are. Yes, they know they have got a serious challenger that is in Chiefs. Remember, they used to have games in hand. This time round, they have almost the same number of games, competing in the Champions League, competing in the league. So they have got their plate full.
Tim, I disagree with you.
Yeah, please.
Tim,
I know you disagree.
How can you say Sundowns are not performing well in the league? I mean, people are, Mr. Pisto say that people are taking pride. They'll be doing pride in December. They are contesting the Champions League. They have 41 points, you know, and just 4 points behind Chiefs. The league form.
Yeah,
don't count the league form.
No, let's look at
They're
the
trying to have a very good league form.
It's a benchmark.
Absolutely.
It is a benchmark. You can't.
They are doing
find
well.
out of the window.
Being second in the league, I mean, it's not bad. 4 points.
It's not a bad.
4 points. You can
No,
just one.
I think for me, I'll tend to disagree as well, team, that they are not doing well. Maybe, comparatively speaking, if
Their
you look
standard.
at that,
You're talking about
they normally have got that gap, that cushion, and so forth. But where they are, I think
It's
still
okay. It's okay
fine.
because
But
No,
now,
it's not okay in comparison to the level they have set themselves. We're talking about Sundowns.
but
It has got a benchmark.
you see, that's what. You see, they came from behind in terms of playing the outstanding games, and now they are 4 points behind Chiefs. They're still
and
gonna play
also
Chiefs.
to be fair to Sundowns, gentlemen, don't forget that also Chiefs, also this season, have also upped their stakes.
Yes,
well.
too.
So in a way, that is also give Sundowns a run for their money.
Yeah.
But talk to me about now
The Champions League.
chances of Sundowns coming up against a strengthened Ahly, who went to do their homework, and we know the Egyptians that they wouldn't want to suffer the same fate. They felt embarrassed. They felt as if this is a pride of Egypt, this Ahly, and they have to go there and make sure that they undo the damage that was witnessed all over the world.
You know,
here in South Africa.
Mr. Lasto, you rightly put it nice. The embarrassed they have last year, but
that cannot be repeated.
Egyptians, the supporters, they're impatient, but sometimes when you play good football or you do well, they tend to support you. And mostly Sundowns now, they have created that perspective in terms of how they play in
North Africa.
So
they've mastered that.
And with Piso, he has that personality there. He's not going to play. The players they do well, but you have a lot of good international players.
No,
But don't forget, you have a Yango,
it-
which is the African best. He has done so
it
well.
used to be-
Etafia,
For now, he's still running well. There's no one.
What has changed? What has changed is that the government has granted the Al Hilal team funds to attend and fill up the stadium. That was different before. Where they had only just a few fans into
I'm
the
hearing
stadium.
that 30,000 fans
30,000
will be allowed to attend
attend.
this Champions League quarter-final clash against Sundowns.
But
Exactly.
Sundowns
I mean, but
used to it.
Sundowns-
They are used to
No,
it.
no, no,
Is
no,
it
no,
something that
No,
Sundowns?
you have internationals there in Sundowns there. I mean, I spoke about
Some of them
Oyango.
Egypt there.
In Egypt
In
there,
AFCON, in
but
AFCON.
with Sundowns, what's his name again? Can you remind me? Is it Monari or what? The striker got injured now.
The right back.
The right back who's playing, because normally when they go away games, Piso normally use him on the right wing.
Because of
And-
counter-attack.
and because that's how they plan the game.
But he's
Morena.
injured. Morena.
That's
Morena, you know,
got
so
injured. No, he was
I
lamenting the fact that
I feel-
he's going to miss him.
Yeah.
Because he needs that pace.
there
Okay.
will always be
Yeah, but
another
there's
player.
also
There
another factor is that
Yeah, the
I
speed,
think
yeah.
there's some-
the midfielder, that boy is aging now.
Kekana.
Kekana,
Yeah.
he cannot
No, but
keep up with
for
the
me,
pace of
for
the-
me, I still rate him higher.
Oh no, that's in South Africa.
No, he scored in the last game in the Champions
No,
League.
it
scored.
doesn't matter as long as he's on the Sundowns team. He's a fulcrum of the team.
Yeah.
He gives them that age, the competitive
No, he
age,
scored.
and
Yeah.
the
I-
experience.
I
But for
think his
me,
experience
at
is-
this moment in time, if you look at this team, Sundowns and Ahly, you are going to see. I'm seeing Sundowns playing a conservative game.
That's- yeah.
Where they're gonna try to sit back and try to absorb the pressure.
Counter-attack,
And,
you know.
when,
I think
counter-attack. So
from
that
the
will be
reports
very
already,
interesting.
Pizzo looks like he's leaning towards what Timothy is talking about, the way I've just read and so forth. But gentlemen, looking at other fixtures quickly, maybe I can just get your prediction. But this one I want a little bit more thoughts on Jeff as to how it is going to pan out. Raja Casablanca coming up against two-time champions TP Mazembe.
Yeah,
Two-time.
2 times.
Yes.
That's why the first leg is in
Yes.
Casablanca.
They have to
So
be given
in
that honor.
Casablanca- Yeah.
Yes.
I remember I spoke to Mihayo, the coach, because he's also now the coach of the Chan team.
Yes.
Yeah, and he told me, but you know how I play outside. So he's going to the same tactic.
Same tactic, eh? So is
conservative
it now understanding,
Yeah.
Jeff, how to play?
Yeah,
at
because
this
you have
level?
to have the players that can
Yes.
that can complete that job on the pitch.
Yes.
Because not everyone who can play like that.
Yes.
If you don't have the means
Yes.
to do it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So and he has the players that can. That
And
can-
it's a good approach, isn't it?
it is a very good
That
approach.
when you go
because-
away,
because now he's
little
going
bit,
to
yes.
play against his former
Yes,
goal scorer,
Yes, the striker that he has, yes.
Malango.
Malango, yes.
So Malango has
Striker.
given all the tactics that TP Mazembe uses to Raja Casablanca. So he has to come up with another one.
Yo.
But he said he's got plenty.
You know, it's
Talking about TP Mazembe, Timot, before you comment, I think this is a club that has done very well.
Yeah.
Top.
Honestly, if you look at where they are always at the last stages of the knockout stage, if they don't go
Yeah.
all the way to the final, something good has taken place in this club. Really fighting the dominance of North Africa. One of the feared sides right now
Yeah.
when
You
you
know-
talk about African continental football competition.
You know, there's one common denominator that's between TP Mazembe and Sundowns. That's the owners that are bankrolling these teams. They are matching the financial muscle.
Is it all about the money?
Oh, yes, yes, because you
is
can-
it-
That's
Yes,
the first.
okay,
That's
yes,
the
that's
first
so
and
first,
foremost.
that is
because
important.
That has matched the North African teams.
Yes, because they're able to
financial
bring
muscle
quality
now.
players.
Now, once they are able, remember, on the African continent, we don't have the luxury of just traveling by speed train and everything like that. You need to travel maybe through France and get yourself to the stadium. So now, TP Mazembe, the
They've
likes
got
of
their own-
Sundowns,
they've
at this
got
moment-
their
They've
own
got their
plan.
own-
yeah, we're playing
Yeah.
now at this moment in time. So now the players are traveling less hours. We have gotten.
We are
enough
waiting
time
for
to
you,
rest.
Mr. Muthepe.
They are
Sundowns
able-
needs their own
they are
private jet.
They are able to even reach a country like North Africa and even hire a better training facility. So for me, those conditions, they have matched their opponents.
Okay.
And now they square themselves on the field of play. But again, I want to credit the coaches. They are able to use the players according to their abilities, not invent the systems that we see in Europe. And we are seeing most African coaches copying that. No, you need to look at the caliber of your player and develop a playing system that will benefit the team.
And when you talk about the TP Mazembe, I remember this guy from Cote d'Ivoire, he came with Bohu in TP Mazembe. He plays in Switzerland now, so I forgot his name. He's number 7. And he used to say that I do everything to TP Mazembe. He's an Ivorian. They asked him why. He said, I play in the final of FIFA World Club.
Because
Because
Yeah,
of TP Mazembe.
so because of TP Mazembe.
Mazembe.
And you've got the players like, players like, he said player like Gary Bell, he has never played there. You do have players like Paul Gascoigne, he hasn't died yet, but there are a lot of good players that have never been there.
played, yeah.
But me coming from Africa, I had that opportunity.
all right, it is #FRUNb Sports. Which team is going to go to the semi-finals? They are the likes of Wydad Casablanca coming up against Etoile Sahel. Casablanca already Wydad that new coach there, Desabre, being shown the door, but
not shown the door.
Yes,
He's back.
Technically, well, sidelined.
Yeah, but we know what that means.
He's poised to go to
yes, understanding Ivory Coast are also after his signature there, Monsieur Desabre. All right, gentlemen, we're talking about all these encounters. There is another encounter that, again, all the eyes will be upon, again, the African continent will be also checking very closely what would be happening here in South Africa when we talk about the Soweto Derby. But yes, we know what it's all about. We know all the build-ups. We know where Pirates is. We know where Chiefs is. We know what's at stake. We know both teams are vying for the league. We know Sundowns might be smiling when these two teams meet. I don't know. There are so many things. But Greg Itafia, there's one thing that we normally are not accustomed to when it comes to this derby. Never ever had really a Kaizer Chiefs or Pirates where they are struggling to decide. I'm talking about the technical team of both sides as to who is going to be the goalkeeper on the day. Chiefs, you have got your countryman, Akpeyi, and also the usual son of the soul, Itumeleng Khune. The coach says that he's got a headache. It's a conundrum. Who is supposed to play this game?
That's a good question, but for coaches, I mean, this kind of headache they want, you don't want a team that you just have the first 11 that can play week in, week out without any competition. I mean, for me, Akpeyi have done very well, for him to compete with Khune, in terms of when Khune was injured and he stepped in and tried to, because it's not easy, what Khune have done for Kaizer Chiefs in terms of his performance,
what he has done.
What he has done. And what you have done.
I love the statement.
What you have done, he
always call that subject history.
Yeah, but what I'm trying to say is football. He always back you up in terms of the trust of the team. You see, because he has done very well. So even when you are injured, they still trust you to come back and do very well. And he has done that. He came to in the cup game and did very well.
But
Akpeyi is ahead in terms of performance now.
Okay.
Forget about the last game against. Forget about the game against Maritzburg, which I mean. You always, it's okay. Let me just give you a scenario. A good goalkeeper make mistake after 3 games.
Okay.
Excellent goalkeepers make a mistake after 9 games.
Okay. There you hit.
Top goalkeepers, they make mistake after 16 games. Akpeyi is excellent goalkeeper. If you see where he was coming from in terms of when he won the player of the month and where Chiefs are, I think he has done very well. You give him that credit. He went about 8 games without making that mistake. That mistake came in the 9th game against Maritzburg. I mean, it's acceptable, but because it's Kaizer Chiefs, people criticize him and they want Khune because Khune is the loving one. For me, you cannot have 2 goalkeepers on the pitch. But Akpeyi should keep this one.
All right, Timothy. Is it a discussion that we should even have? If you look at what has been happening at Kaizer Chiefs between the 2 goalkeepers, 2 international keepers that are there, is the coach not supposed to just look at the last game and see the performance of his goalkeeper based on that and select the keeper? Does he have to look at all these statistics like what Greg Itafia said, all this to determine actually who plays in this derby?
I can assure you that when it comes to a game of this magnitude, the derby, that's Pirates and Chiefs, all statistics are out of the window. At this moment in time, you have got 2 wonderful goalkeepers, international goalkeepers. So at this moment in time, you're going to have to sit down and look at the ability of the goalkeeper who is going to calm the team, and that's the defenders and the rest of the team. That is very crucial, because once you have a section of some players, maybe in the backline, who feel that they are comfortable when Akpeyi is in the goal or Khune is in the goal, you're going to have a problem. Already we
Mr.
are
Tim,
having.
they can't be,
already
as
we
a
having-
player, you
No,
can't
no,
decide. The
already we
coaches
having-
need to decide.
No.
Your job
No,
there is
no.
to defend
You
the
know,
goalkeeper.
that's the problem. You had.
You can't come and tell me that. I don't like. So what about you?
That's
you
what.
go about
That's
friends
what.
now.
That's
Okay.
what.
Yeah,
No,
I'm a last friend.
no.
I want you to be on the
It's
goal.
called.
No.
It's called.
Coach
It's called.
must decide
No.
who is the back line
It's
there.
called.
All
It's
right,
called the
let's-
team.
Let's
It's
pick.
called.
No, I
the-
want us to pick the brain of the coach.
You.
Yeah.
You as a coach, because you are trying to tell us
You
that
can't tell me defender say
this is
he's not
how the
comfortable.
coach
No,
might
no.
arrive.
He must perform.
You're a coach. You're a goalkeeper
Yeah.
coach. What I'm talking about, you know, is true. You know,
No.
you have to have.
Okay,
there's an understanding.
Put your head on the block.
There's an
Who's
understanding.
that coach that's going to make the defense to be calm and confident for you?
Then you talk about the players.
Yeah,
You talk about the
you
players.
say-
Goalkeeper.
you said which
who's the
goalkeeper of
goalkeeper?
the two?
Yeah.
Who's going to make the defense on the day feel more calmer, feel more
For me,
confident?
at
in your
this
opinion?
moment in time, is Kune,
It's
and
Kune.
I'll tell you why.
Tell me why.
The reason is simple. With the exploits of Akpeyi coming over and taking over from Kune when he was injured,
Yeah.
he has performed so wonderfully well.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, he has not won over the fans. The same questions of his performances are coming out week and week out from the coach, and
No,
the coach has defended
the fans-
him.
no,
So
no, no.
at this moment in time, if you look at the mistake of Akpeyi,
You are a head coach. Now you talk about
Yes.
the fans. You say the fans
No,
because the fans are
yes.
saying, what about the fans don't
No,
like
no,
that
no.
person?
Etafia,
So he
because
put you
I'm
under
gifted.
pressure.
Timothy,
No, you have to stand on your own.
Etafia, I want you to
Etafia,
for Jeff.
I'm
Finish
gifted.
Timothy.
No,
Finish.
Mr.
Etafia,
Tim,
I'm
you have
gifted.
to stand
All
on
right,
your own.
Jeff, can you help this
I'm
guy?
As a coach,
No,
you
yeah.
can't say that because
I'm gifted.
I can say the fans.
No, no, no,
Right, no, fans,
no. It
no
is simple.
fans. No.
I'm gifted with
No,
two
no, no.
excellent
Let me-
goalkeepers.
All right.
So
Who is your number
their
one?
performance
You in the press
is not in
conference.
question.
Yeah.
Their performance is not questioned.
Yeah.
My question is, who on the day will allow me as a coach to balance my team
No.
to give me the result?
And for you, that's Kune.
That's Kune.
Jeff, can you help these two guys?
Yeah, but
I'm coming to Timothy. No, I won't finish
First of all, when
Timothy.
it comes when it comes to Derby, all the statistics
Yes.
count for
Out.
nothing.
Okay.
They are out. It
So they're
depends
out.
on who wants it more.
More.
Okay.
And between the two goalkeepers, who wants it more?
More.
And if I was in Mindedop's shoes,
yes.
and based on the momentum that the team has been carrying over, and the way they've been playing, and the defenders know each other, I'll continue with that pay.
Okay,
Finish.
you continue with that pay.
Absolutely.
Because you feel that
You can't say because the fans. Now, Mr. Tim is saying the fans make a noise. and you say that,
I'll make a
this-
decision
All right,
and say,
No,
listen.
let's go
As
back.
a head coach.
Let's go back to the issue of Akpeyi and Kune. Now, between the two goalkeepers, at the moment, you look at last week when Kaizer Chiefs played against Highlands Park.
Yeah.
Many fans are also using that because Kune never made one single save in terms of the penalties. That has been also used. Some fans are not happy with the fact that a goalkeeper of his quality
Yeah.
was not able to make
And
a
Akpeyi
save.
was making some saves.
And
penalty saves.
Akpeyi, if you look at previously in the other cup competitions,
Yeah.
he has done well in that front.
Yeah.
So now looking at the two goalkeepers, Kune has just come in from injury. He
Yeah.
comes in, plays against Highlands Park. Some also feel that in that 90 minutes and extra time,
Yeah.
he did very well. He is the captain of the club,
Yeah.
isn't it? If you look at that. So how difficult is it to put Kune on the bench, and how much pressure are you putting to Akpeyi
Yeah.
by putting Kune on
Stay
the bench?
It's a lot of pressure because, I mean, as I said earlier, Kune have done very well for Kaizer Chiefs. But you see, the two goalkeepers have different attributes. You see, and
Please, can you
that's-
let us know? We
Kune-
want to know.
You see, we played against
What would Kune bring?
a lot in terms of
More than Akpeyi?
no. Wait, let me answer.
What
When
would
he used to
bring?
play,
Well, if he's on his day, because you know, the goalkeeper always have his day, and with Kune on his day, he has used to this derby. He is used to a lot of games. You know, South Africa
So
International
that is slightly of an advantage.
advantage for him.
Because
and,
all
the,
the Derby-
and,
And
and
because-
the way he controlled his defense,
and because you play like-
distribution,
Yeah,
His distribution
because you played
also second to none.
against Pirates team that will attack you non-stop.
Okay.
So and the other team, Kaizer Chiefs, we depend on is on his distribution in terms of the likes of Billiard, the likes of
Because
Parker.
Pirates
So
is
they
gonna
will
come.
come. So there will be
So
space.
there will be spaces
space.
open.
That's the advantage.
So
That's
those
one
advantage,
point for Kune. But coming to Akpeyi, because he has done so well, win Player of the Month, everything, how many man of the match? He got 4,
Yes.
if I'm not mistaken. And it's not easy,
So he
you know.
deserves to be given
He
that.
deserves,
But if I was to recall exactly from the statements you made.
Yeah.
You said history may not favor you, because if you're going to go into the history, Kune comes on top. But what you're saying at this moment in time,
I'm telling you last to the attribute of each goalkeeper.
Yes, that's true.
Yeah, because
you have said it well. But I'm saying to you is that we have got 2 goalkeepers.
Yeah.
Their performance is not in question.
Yeah.
So we're going to look at other factors
Yeah.
that can outweigh the other to perform. When it comes to
Like,
goalkeeping and everything like that,
Both of them are good keepers.
yeah,
We
all
agree
good.
with that.
You can't take nothing out
So
of it.
you
But now
say
you're
we
looking
are
at,
looking at, yes.
you're looking at other attributes, and I told you that there are other attributes where you will find that Akpeyi being in goals, there's that comfort from the rest of the squad that you know that is there. You have Kune being on the bench. Already there is that pressure that is being exerted on Akpeyi when he's playing because of Kune's presence on the bench.
Yeah.
That affects the momentum of the team. So as a coach, before you make a decision, you have to think twice. You need to balance it out.
But
and
you
at
see,
this moment in
as
time,
a coach again, team
also
again, you need to have a strong
protect
team.
your player.
You need to have a strong team on the
and
18
also
because it's not
lastly,
because I can't say
Kune-
sorry, let me finish that one.
Yeah.
Mr. Lasso, you cannot say because the 2 are strong and this one is going to put pressure. You are all internationals, so you need to handle the situation. It's one common goal for the team to win. You never know what's going to happen. On the warm-up, maybe Akpeyi got injured or maybe could get injured. So you need someone to be there that can replace the other one without any question. All I'm just saying, for the momentum and where Chiefs is now, because don't forget, you don't talk about now one game. You talk about where Chiefs was coming from before they be on top of the league.
All right.
You understand?
Akpeyi
deserves
team.
to
All right.
be there.
Last
You know,
Chef.
the enemy of Kaizer Chiefs, it will be the fans.
Thank
Because fans, we've been talking about the goalkeepers as if it was the whole game. We're talking about the game. Now we're putting unnecessary pressure on them. So Akpeyi, if they said Akpeyi is going to be there, Akpeyi will now say that people have been talking about Kune, but now I'm going there. I'm not South African. If I make a mistake, you put already pressure on him. And he can make a mistake.
And it's not nobody's above mistake
To the team. Now they can say Kune come. And Kune will say, they've been praising Akpeyi.
I shouldn't make a mistake.
I shouldn't make a mistake.
Exactly.
And
So
he can make a mistake, it will be to the detriment of the team.
Of the team.
So
Yeah,
we
but-
have to be
yeah,
very,
yeah,
very
no,
benefit of the team.
okay,
is the most important
I want
thing.
to hear your predictions now. Greg Itafia, it's a match as well. Like I said, that there's so much at stake besides which goalkeeper Chiefs is going to select on the day. But there's more to it. Yes, there's the bragging rights and so forth. But I think the 2 coaches, both camps, are looking at these 3 points to try to make sure that either they increase the gap on top of the log or they can close in. Very, very important game in terms of the points.
If I'm not mistaken, Pirates have 38 points. 38 points. Saunders 41. I mean, Pirates winning this game, this is going to be big advantage for Sundowns. Vets, don't forget about Vets too. And the pressure is always going to be on Chiefs because where they're coming from, the games they've lost. But nevertheless, Pirates, they are still under pressure to perform. But don't discard Chiefs because Chiefs in the big games like this, they always come on top. So this game is going to be, I mean,
Your
I just feel like it's going to be an entertaining game. Football will be the winner on that day. No, I'm going there.
Hey, he's very scared. Put it in his head, bro.
Football will be the winner. But Kaizer Chiefs will take this one.
Kaizer Chiefs will take this one. Yes,
For me, Lasto, I've watched Pirates play their games come about, especially after Rulani, relinquished the leadership, being the assistant coach, and I've seen the German machinery taking over Pirates, and their performance is not shocking. And so we have got 2 German tacticians managing these 2 teams. And what I've noticed really is the structure of the team. These are wonderful players that have been structured to operate so well. And I've seen both teams, playing well in those structures, and they have been getting results. Yes, Chiefs lost. That's added the pressure onto them. But again, that is another momentum for them to to bounce back. You hardly find a big team losing 2 games in a row. It's always very difficult.
They have lost 2 games.
So you have got Pirates, which is in a good momentum, and no one gave them an opportunity that they can even challenge for the league title. Now they have put themselves in a position to say, listen, if we win this one, even when we have got a game, one more game in hand, we can still challenge for the championship. So they'll fancy their chances. So Chiefs has not beaten Pirates away from home in 15 years. So this is another opportunity to make history to win this game. So I'll go. It has always been a draw for
No,
these
no,
derbies.
no.
And this time round, I'll go for Chiefs.
All right,
thank you,
Chiefs.
Tim.
Jeff Katala, lastly,
Yeah.
your
Thank you,
prediction.
Tim.
You see, when you say that, for me, if I was the coach of Pirates, the Zimbabwe, I wouldn't put real pressure on my team because they were not expecting it to be third.
Yeah.
So just because I know that he was preparing the team for next season.
I think that's how it has been.
Yeah. So for
He's
next
always
season.
downplayed
Yes.
this issue.
But
of
they have to
that
play
is-
the
that
game
is
normally.
charismatic leadership.
But if they can take advantage,
Yeah.
let them do that. If it is the team was playing away,
Yes.
so we're playing defensive, we're playing very cautiously, and if an opportunity arises, we will take them because Kaizer Chiefs will want to remain at the top.
Thank you.
So the pressure is on Kaizer
Kids
Chiefs,
is more
Yeah.
than Pirates.
more than Pirates,
Yeah.
and the Pirates should take it very. There's a normal game.
Is
Yeah.
Yeah, not because it is a derby.
Derby.
They have just to play because nobody. When I watched the game that was played in November, it's not as very same Pirates that I see today.
Yeah.
So they're very calm. They're more organized. The structure is in place.
Yeah.
But I see them by the end of the day winning.
Jeff Katala goes with Orlando Pirates. I'm not sure about the issue of Orlando Pirates. They've worked very hard to be in the position where they are. I think within themselves as well, they might be having their small pressure target to try to say that, guys, we've done well. So do we want all these good things that we've done to go to West? But again, if they don't make it to win the league, I'm sure that one eye is there for next season.
Because they don't have anything to play for again.
Especially with the coach. I think the coach is well relaxed. There's no pressure. You can see the difference between Middendorp
Yeah.
and Zimbabwe.
But
Zimbabwe
also-
enjoying
but
this
also
moment.
you-
But I don't think next season,
Yeah, no.
Mr. Zimbabwe
but the
is
last-
enjoying this ride.
But also, you can also read the body language of the players.
Yeah.
You can see the Orlando Pirates players very happy to be on the field of play.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
play.
Yeah.
It's a different
Yeah.
whole team, same
Yeah.
players under a different coach and performing differently. And then you have Kaizer Chiefs. You're looking at the body structure of these players. You can see that these players have been structured to perform according to instructions, and some players don't have
Are
the
you saying
freedom
that the freedom, there's more freedom
At Pirates
at Pirates
than
you
at
have?
Chiefs. Even
Because
when
you spoke
Chiefs-
about the two, you spoke about the two tacticians,
Yeah.
the German tacticians having this well organized, sides. But it seems as if you are also moving in the direction that, but the two of them, they've also got different approaches. As much as
Yeah.
they're organized,
You
the
see-
others
you
seem
see-
to be, giving the players
The freedom
to
to
but the
express
other one seems as if
a little bit, yes.
you need to play according to instructions.
He has given them the structure to play in, and he expects them to do that. But what I see with the Orlando Pirates, I think Zimbabwe gives them an opportunity to take out that individual brilliance when they feel they can do it.
But
he gives them that to do it.
Yeah,
but with Chiefs, you are seeing more of the experienced players, the likes of Kamabiri. And if you look at the runs of Kamabiri that is making, and then you look at the replacement in the likes of Maluleka and Manyama, those are individual initiatives that are being made by themselves vis-a-vis what the structure
Mr.
demands
Tim,
of them.
All right, finish up.
Germans, they're always organized in terms of their team. From German teams.
Oh, yeah.
They're always organized. I just feel the difference, is the attack of Orlando Pirates.
Orlando Pirates.
But with Chiefs, you go like this, you call
14 goals.
Yeah.
And I'm very pleased to see that because we were used to see, the best goal
10,
scorer of
12.
the season, 9,
Yeah.
10, 11.
Yeah,
And now
We're
we
ready for it.
Yeah.
All right, gentlemen, we were going to touch on the story that I think for the last 2 weeks we've debated, we've spoken about the appointment of Joseph Yobo as the third assistant. Babayaro, again, just making a comment. But anyway, because we've run out of time, we're going to touch on that. But I think we have gone at length about this issue of the qualifications that are being in question as well. But let me take this opportunity as we close the show to thank my guests tonight that were here, and also for you who was listening at home, hoping that of course you enjoyed the show. Gentlemen, thank you very much. We should be able to meet again, same place, same time. It is called This Is
Same
African Football.
Yeah.
Same place.
We sign out by saying that have yourself a very good evening.
Thanks, Mr.
Thank
Lasto.
you.
Thank you.
Thanks.